King, now, you want to talk about ball movement and where they rank in terms of their ladder, and you put together a little matrix.
Yeah, so ball movement's king at the moment. 75% of scoring is coming from ball movement, so it's the game. So two components. One, you've got to be able to move it, and two, you've got to be able to stop the opposition moving. So if you bring those two together and look at the differentials, it does form some sort of a ladder. And there's real separation. And I'll just quickly run through the ladder if you like, because these guys, sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. So ball in hand, Gold Coast rated 1. Without it, they're rated 7th, but their gaps are not that big. So they're the best on the ball movement ladder as a total. So those guys, in really good order, they're complete. The Suns, the Giants, the Lions and the Crows. I think we all agree with that and see that. The next section starts to get a little bit interesting because sometimes the eye can lie. Hawthorn, 11th at moving it. 11th. So I've taken out forward 50 stoppages, defending them and scoring from them. So it does skew the numbers a little bit and show you that they're 11th on the ball movement ladder offensively and 3rd best defensively and stopping the opposition's ball movement. So that they rank 7th, but it is alarming because I think the eye lies with the Hawks in terms of their ball movement. Sydney 10th and 6th, so the eye lies a little bit with the Swans. We talk about their corridor ball and how they slice and dice.
What about Freo?
Yeah.
Or Freo are 9 and 10, so they're mid-table on both. So if you're going to be a contender, you're going to have to come up a little bit. Whether you come up with both or have one area of strength, then that's fine. Carlton are a fascination, and you showed this beautifully last week, Joey. They've got some problems at defensive 50 stoppages, but they're the best in the competition at denying ball movement. The best.
That's why I thought they were a chance of it.
Yeah, the green lights.
Yeah, they were great.
Well, that was stupid, but I understand where you were going. And they're still, you would say on that, they're still in the hunt. They're still in the fight. If they can get their offence together, where they're ranked 17th. Only the West Coast Eagles are poorer. Essendon are 4 with it. 15 without it. Port Adelaide 7 and 14. So room to move for those teams. Otherwise, they'll finish just in that muck down the bottom of the table. And then, of course, there's always the bottom 3 that just seem to be here for welded to the bottom. Really, look at the West Coast Eagles. They're in rebuild. Richmond 15 and 17, and North Melbourne alarmingly still in this position, 14th with it, 16th at defending. And I think the 16 is where the pain's at for Alistair Clarkson. That hasn't improved, and the eye doesn't lie when you see the Kangaroos play. So there's food for thought with that. Not everything's broken, not everything's perfect, and I think that the teams to talk about, Carlton, Hawthorn, Sydney, potentially Essendon and Port Adelaide.
Well, Carlton's the one I want to talk about. So, number 1, defending it.
Yep.
So, offensively, the sprinkle Joey was talking about, a little sprinkle of that. Is it something against West Coast that you can flick a switch, Kingy?
I still think everyone's writing Carlton off. There's a shopping list of things that are wrong, but they'll get on a run. It's just a matter of whether they can put 4, 5, 6 wins together at some stage soon.
But if they stay elite defending ball movement, they don't have to be the best ball movement team in the comp. They've only got to get up to AFL average. They've only just got to be average, and that will bring those numbers right up, and they'll win more games.
All right, Kingy, let's have a go. It's your first crack. The circus is in town. Roll up, roll up, roll up.
Roll up, roll up. Geelong versus the Adelaide Crows. Both teams can seriously move the ball and at high speeds too. I just love the way that they play. And I think they're okay with the opposition moving it to a point until they can get themselves organised behind the ball down back. So they're just on sheer ball movement, in totality, 3rd and 4th. Terrific. We all see that. The eye doesn't lie with these two moving it. But they give you a look the other way. And this includes all areas of the ground. We're going to do a ladder later on, which doesn't. But, just off basic numbers, I think, Joey, this is going to be a spectacle. Geelong probably have... obviously they have the best defensive 50 in the competition in terms of the gridlock and the teamwork back there. The system defends goal in their defensive 50 better than anyone else. But this will be a cracking watch.
So when you talk about that defensively, they've got the best system, the simple system. Adelaide knows what they're trying to do down there, but that's going to be the penetration they'll need. Yeah,
so I just want to show some vision. It's basic once you see it and you can't stop seeing it. They basically protect the V from the top of the goal square to the logos. If you want to call that the corridor or the V. So it's get numbers back to this area. Get back in support. Get off your man. He's in a redundant position. And as soon as it can, it becomes 10v6, 11v7, and then they go to work. If you can beat them, they give you a look. If you can beat them, well, good luck to you. I love the fact that they protect the V. Here, if it's coming out left, right side, they're already on the correct side of their opponents. Of course, there's always a drop zone where you can beat them, but they play the percentages and they make it difficult for you to lace one out. And if you do, it's generally really wide. But look at this. Again, this is them. So once you sort of see this, you think, OK, no point kicking a long ball in there because they're going to pick that off and they'll come from everywhere to help and they'll just assess on the way in and then outnumber again. So the swarm, again, is on to support. As basic as it is brilliant and really difficult to defeat. I mean, they've only given up 15 goals from marks in the first 4 rounds, which is the 4th best in the competition. The Saints got them with those shallow entries. Even here, they're in really good... It's pretty much one-on-one. But with one player drifting off the redundant on the right-hand side there. So if he needs to fly, he'll fly. If he sees that the Geelong defender's in good shape, in good order, he won't fly. So it's calculated on the way in, and they just take the percentages off the table for the opposition. I love watching it. I can't stop watching it. And I think when you look at what the Saints did, the Saints took 15 marks inside 50, and they were able to shift the ball and just get those shallow ones. But then you've got to convert. So it becomes a great discussion this week with the guys they've got down there. Fogarty's a beautiful converter, but he's going to be marking wide. Yeah. He's a leading player. He won't be able to mark in the V. And if Thilthorpe can outmark 3 or 4 of them in the air, well, good luck to you. And Tex is going to have his work cut out as well. They all convert really well, but they're going to get low percentage opportunities.
Yeah, I love the way we've watched the Cats. I've been fascinated by the Cats' defence for years because it is unique. They do it differently. It's such a team structure, and they roll around. And Stewart sort of does his own thing, or it looks that way. And as we've said, when it works, it is elite. But we have seen times when it does fall down, it falls down badly because it is so unique. It's not just 1v1. So particularly at home, they're always hard to beat. But it's going to be a good challenge against this Adelaide forward line.
As long as I can remember, Dicko, they've had an All-Australian calibre centre-half back or full-back, whatever you want to call it, a prime piece. Have been Scarlett, then Harry Taylor, and Stewart's been that guy. Blitzar's Egan, as far back as you want to go. Harley, if you want to go back further. Now it's a bit of Tom Stewart. Still Blitzarves is there, still Stewart's there, and you want to nominate the young fella.
Well, they're both over 30 now, so who's the incumbent? I mean, Jack Henry is a terrific player, but it could be Connor O'Sullivan. They might just have their next elite defender for the next 15 years that we've seen in recent weeks, so that might just continue on.
It's not who you play, it's when you play them, Dicko. So Jack Henry's out, obviously, with that injury, up against the 3 tall. So only Sam Taylor and Alex Pearce have taken more intercept marks in the defensive 50 than Jack, and only Sam Taylor has taken more contested intercept marks. So he's a prime piece that's out at the wrong time if you're a Geelong fan, but the right time if you're a Crow Tall.
And the other part about your V too, the pressure through the midfield, like that just, you don't go unnoticed in terms of what that obviously produces for Geelong.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, everyone talks about the midfield of Geelong, how it's not necessarily the elite upper echelon, but what they have in there is competitors. And they have guys that make it really difficult for the other team's midfielders with Atkins and Bowes and these sorts of guys going through O'Connor and Tag. We know they've got some class as well, but you're right, that does make them force teams to go wide or kick sort of scraggy balls, and that allows the interceptors to get to work.
It's frustrating for forwards too, and you go, oh, look at them taking off. Geelong on the right side, and then you can't get space. Joey, your first crack.
Well, my first crack is going to be at the Bombers again, but this time because of where we want to find out where the Bombers are at and the opportunity they have against a Melbourne team right now that, let's be honest, are down on confidence and cannot score. They're averaging 62 points a game. But the reason why this is a big one for Essendon is they get the chance to double dip here. Not only after the bye do they get opportunity to get 4 points and get their season rolling, they have Melbourne's first draft pick, remember. So if they can win this game, I think it can almost break Melbourne's spirits. And they are favoured, if they do lose this, to be a bottom 4 team. When you start looking at the ladder, Kingy, we touched on it Sunday night, this could really end up that Essendon get a top 3 to top 5 draft pick off Melbourne. So it's a big game for them. And when you look at it, I think there's a class gap between the two sides, particularly on offence, because Essendon, we know for years, can always move the footy. That hasn't been a problem for there. You can see their chain to score. So when they start with possession at the moment, they're the third best team at scoring from that, where Melbourne, we know, are completely devoid of any sort of offence at the moment. Their forwards are out of form and really struggling. Van Rooyen and Fritsch can't get it. So it's a golden opportunity for Essendon here, I think, as long as they can just defend reasonably well. And that's going to be the point, because when we take a look at some of the offensive Essendon, we know what they can do offensively, and we'll just put some of the clips together from the Port Adelaide game, where they didn't really capitalise. But when you take a look at their 3 games so far this year, they've had 25 shots against Hawthorn, they've had 27 shots against Adelaide, even though they conceded 160. They kicked 100 themselves, and they had another 25 shots against the Bombers. So they've got no issue moving the footy. The big one, Dicko and King, as we know, is Essendon's ability to defend.
Correct.
Because that is going to be the question mark. And Melbourne, they surely cannot allow Melbourne to get their offence going. I'd be so disappointed if Essendon let the Demons off the hook. Because if you take a look at Melbourne, right, so since the start of 2021, if Melbourne can kick 85 points, that's the number, Dicko, 85 games alive. Melbourne are 45-3. If they they're 45-3, Melbourne, if they can kick 85 points in a game.
85?
That's a big...
The problem is Essendon have given up 85 points 52 times in the last 5 years. And if they can keep teams to under that, Essendon themselves, 34 wins, 9 losses. So can they restrict Melbourne to under 85 points?
85.
That's the number. If they keep Melbourne under 85, Essendon will kick a big enough score to win. If they cannot slow them down and can't get their defence right, which we know is an issue, then they could lose a game that I think they'll be disappointed, Essendon, that they should. Because look, Dicko, what opens up for them if they do win this game. They then take on the West Coast Eagles. Anzac Day, the last 5 clashes have been really close and they've won a couple of them. Then they've got North Melbourne at Marvel, Sydney at Marvel, Bulldogs at Marvel, Richmond. So this talk about a rebuild, that's why I didn't buy into it. They've got 16 or 17 players that are in their 5th season or above going into this game. They can win some games of footy. Yep. If they can just sort out their defence. So that's going to be a big watch for me.
So you said that they had a shootout with Adelaide, 270 points total match. Yeah. If they don't D, who's going to win the shootout? If
they don't defend, Melbourne get 85, Melbourne will beat them.
Okay.
But I think Melbourne are struggling to kick 85 points. They've only done it twice in their last 15 games or something.